The Vral Commercial Authority sent their chief negotiator to Earth with 4.2 quadrillion credits, the largest cash offer in any history. They expected a swift yes. Kenneth Voss stepped into Café El Oasis in Quito. Certain he already owned it, the owner, Sandra, poured him a cup of black Ecuadorian espresso as if he were any other customer.
Exclusive perpetual rights to all coffee production from Earth and her colonies. 4.2 quadrillion credits.
The coffee cooled before him, steam still curling. He had intended to wait until the contract was signed. The aroma broke him. One sip, and Kenneth Voss understood why the galaxy craved this.
The agreement is simple. Sign, and the funds transfer immediately.
No.
She understood perfectly. The richest offer in galactic history had just been refused like a bad cup of coffee.
Then double. 8.4 quadrillion credits, transferred within the hour.
The number doesn't matter, Mr. Voss.
A planet, then. A habitable world, registered to you personally. I have the authority.
I am not a cafe owner. I am a trade ministry attaché. Earth anticipated your offer.
Then you understand the consequences. Full economic sanctions. Your world will be strangled.
Coffee isn't a commodity to us. It's what we share with our children. You can't put a price on that.
You have one solar day. Then we return with a fleet, not a contract.
Kenneth Voss left the cafe, his robes snapping in the evening breeze. He did not look back.
Envoy Castillo to Earth Command. Initiate protocol. The growers will want to vote.
In his shuttle, Kenneth replayed the conversation. No species had ever refused him. He began drafting the punitive measures. Kenneth's shuttle rose through the atmosphere, its thrusters burning a clean white line into the darkening sky.
High Commissioner, the initial offer was refused. All subsequent incentives were dismissed without negotiation.
They will reconsider when the first trade lanes close. Humans are predictably sentimental.
Vrex ended the transmission without another word. In his mind, the matter was already decided. By dawn, Sandra was walking the coffee terraces of the Pichincha Highlands, the air thick with the scent of ripening cherries.
So the Vral sent their finest. I assume you told them the Earth doesn't sell its soul by the bean. The Federation of Coffee Growers has one question. Is this land still ours to decide?
The screen flickered. The tally was 3,487 to 0. Not a single hand wavered.
Then we prepare the full genetic archive. Every varietal, every wild ancestor. If they come for our plants, they find empty fields.
The weapon Earth was building had no warships, no blasters, only the quiet machinery of absolute refusal. Within 12 hours, the Vral Commercial Authority issued Interstellar Sanction 88, an immediate commercial quarantine on all Earth origin exports.
Your refusal triggers the full weight of raw economic isolation. Your coffee will rot at your spaceports.
We understand the terms. Earth accepts the quarantine.
Then Earth activated its countermeasure. Across every time zone, baristas locked doors, roasters silenced their drums, and farmers sealed their silos. A single symbol spread across every global news screen. A coffee cup crossed out in red. Cargo manifests froze. Ships diverted. The largest coffee cooperative in human history enacted a total export ban toward any Vral-aligned world.
They wanted to own it. Now they get none of it.
72 hours after the quarantine began, not one bean had left Earth's gravity well-bound for Vral's space. Earth's soldiers stood down, their rifles slung. Instead, they held steaming mugs, standing guard over a weapon no fleet could match. The war had begun, not with fire, but with silence. And the Vral had no idea what they had just lost. At Vral Commercial Headquarters on Turin Prime, the morning shift arrived to find coffee dispensers dark for the first time in a decade. A junior trade analyst stared at his empty mug, then at the silent machine. No internal advisory had warned them.
The humans will break within a standard week. They are emotional, undisciplined. They rely on the revenue.
If their coffee is so precious, why do they serve it to their own children? It is a weakness.
They think we grow this for credits. We grow it because it's ours. We have seed vaults. We have each other. The The Vral have until their next cup to understand what they've lost.
By midday on Torin Prime, 2 administrators snapped at colleagues over minor filing errors. No one blamed the coffee. In the mining sector, productivity dipped 3%. Supervisors blamed faulty equipment. Kenneth monitored the light lag reports from Torin. He noted the inefficiencies and dismissed them. He was still certain. In the Highlands, Elena tightened the straps on a backup generator for the seed vault. The real work was just beginning. On Torin Prime, a senior diplomat misplaced a treaty addendum and blamed her assistant, though no assistant had touched the file.
Caffeine is a human stimulant, High Commissioner. Our biology is superior.
An hour later, a loading skiff veered into a fuel line on the Vral command station. The pilot's hands had been shaking. Kenneth dispatched encrypted offers to 3 human food conglomerates, proposing exclusive post-embargo distribution rights.
She intercepted the first offer before the encryption handshake completed. Ambassador, we can see you. Earth's coffee is owned by its growers. There is no corporate override.
The cooperative leader, Elena Rojas, had already been called by every contacted conglomerate. Each had refused the Vral overture.
They offered us the galaxy. We offered them our soil.
By nightfall on Earth, the conglomerates had published a public rejection of Vral's back channel. Unity held. For the first time, the Vral war room felt colder. Not from temperature, but from the uncertainty. No one would name.
Deploy the 3rd Assault Fleet. Lunar orbit. Let the humans witness the consequence of refusal.
Within an orbit, 100 Vral warships settled above Earth's moon, their hulls blotting the constellations.
You can have our coffee when you respect our terms. Until then, you have nothing but empty cups.
The crossed-out coffee cup burned on every screen in the galaxy, deep red against the cold void. On the Vral flagship, the helm officer misjudged a station-keeping burn. His hands were trembling. A battleship drifted into a munitions barge. Collision alarms shrieked across the fleet. Automatic overrides prevented the impact, but the near disaster streamed across all open channels. Vrex watched the footage in silence, the ice of authority cracking behind his eyes.
This is becoming a security vulnerability, High Commissioner.
Galactic, Capital Worlds replayed the footage. The Vral fleet no longer looked like a threat, it looked like a warning. In a sterile Vral research dome, scientists synthesized a brown liquid chemically identical to coffee. It lacked the psychoactive fingerprint. Vrex listened to the failure report and crushed a decorative chalice in his fist.
You tell me the most primitive species in the sector has biology that defies our science.
High Commissioner, we could secure a living seed stock directly. A covert extraction from a plantation.
And risk open war for a bean?
That bean is the only thing holding 3 sectors together. Without it, we lose more than a skirmish.
Vrex stared at the tactical map. The red indicators were spreading like a disease. He authorized the mission with a single code word. No record, no witnesses. Earth's signals intelligence caught the encrypted bursts cycling through Vral relay buoys. Sandra read the patterns and said nothing. Seed banks were moved deeper underground. The farmers knew what was coming. At dawn, Elena Rojas stood at the edge of a river with a burlap sack. Cameras followed.
We offer no violence, only our work returned to the soil.
A cascade of green coffee beans spilled into the white water, dark and forever unreachable. The broadcast went galactic. On Vral homeworlds, crowds gathered around public screens in silence. The Vral Commercial Council convened an emergency session. 12 counselors demanded Vrex attend immediately.
They are destroying the commodity they claim to value. This is irrational.
A senior counselor raised his voice. You have created a symbol, High Commissioner. You have made us the enemy of culture. Across 3 sectors, Vral citizens withheld their morning commute. Absenteeism rose 18%, with public unrest seeping into military morale. The raid authorization was suspended pending diplomatic review. Kenneth stared at the paused countdown. The war for coffee had just changed its battlefield. By the 6th day, Vral city streets had turned into open-air clinics. Protest banners demanded coffee by any means. In the medical wards, physicians listed unexplained psychosis on discharge papers. They had no word for caffeine withdrawal. The military mess halls were silent. Soldiers stared at empty prep tables, their morale collapsing alongside their focus. A cargo carrier misrouted its jump, clipping a station docking ring. The flight recorder showed the pilot had been awake for 4 cycles.
The Council doesn't understand. We lose the sectors, and we lose our capacity to fight.
High Commissioner, any offensive now could fracture our command structure. The Council has not authorized.
I am the authority. Burn a plantation. Force the humans to the table.
Earth's orbital watchers tracked the launch signatures. Missiles, not cargo. Sandra activated the final protocol.
They chose fire. We chose absence. Now we find out which one the galaxy remembers.
The war for coffee had entered its darkest hour, and Earth had already buried what the Vral wanted most. At dawn, Vral missiles turned a whole hillside of coffee trees into blackened stumps. The fire was visible from orbit. Elena stood in the ash, holding a scorched branch. She didn't weep, she waited.
Now they will come to the table. Show them the footage. Let them see what defiance costs.
Sandra activated Earth's response from the command center. No fleet, no missiles, a single broadcast channel.
For every plantation you burn, a coffee varietal will be removed from the gene bank forever. You are not burning crops. You are deleting an experience from the universe. We will let that happen.
In the Vral war room, an aide's hand trembled so badly he broke a stylus. No one dared speak.
She has the authority. We've seen the lab logs. The gene banks are real.
They would not. It is their legacy.
But the silence that followed told the room the human threat was not a bluff. The war had just become unwinnable.
High Commissioner, 3 senior officers are refusing duty. They say they will not erase a species, culture.
Arrest them. I command this fleet.
No one moved. 3 more officers stepped back from their consoles, eyes averted.
High Commissioner, I advise you contact Earth directly. Before the Council intervenes.
Vrex opened a direct channel. The human attaché's face filled his screen, calm and waiting.
You have one path open. Unconditional acceptance of all Earth's terms. Or the gene banks remain closed.
A council decree flashed across the command screens. Vrex is relieved. The Vral Commercial Council will negotiate a ceasefire. Sandra acknowledged the channel. Earth agreed to direct talks, but only with the Council, not its disgraced commander. Vrex stared at the frozen command displays. His authority had ended mid-threat, his war room now a mausoleum. The galaxy watched. The Vral authority had just been forced to the table by a cup of coffee. Vrex was removed from the war room in restraints. The Council's broadcast left no room for appeal. The Council appointed Kenneth Voss to negotiate the surrender. He carried no illusions this time.
Complete withdrawal from contested mining systems. Ratification of the Child Trafficking Treaty. Coffee remains available, freely, at fair price.
The Vral Council chamber was silent. One by one, the councilors gave their reluctant consent.
The Vral Commercial Authority accepts these terms, unconditionally.
Sandra nodded once. No triumph, no gloating. The moment was too large for that.
We told them. Coffee is not a weapon. It's a bridge. They just had to want to cross it.
The treaty was drafted within the hour. Its clauses glimpsed on every news feed from Torin to Quito. Earth had not deployed a single warship. Its weapon had been absence, and it had proven more devastating than any fleet. The first ships would move at dawn, but the galaxy would never see humanity the same way again. Hours before the signing, Earth's orbital grid remained locked on every Vral ship. Trust was still conditional.
The vault is sealed. They could glass the continent and not touch what we've saved. If this is a trap, they will learn that absence has deeper teeth than presence.
Kenneth Voss spent the night transmitting final protocols, his own doubts buried under diplomatic necessity.
Earth Envoy, we are proceeding in good faith. The Council has removed the extremists. You have my word.
We will verify every word, Ambassador. Until the ink dries, our gene banks remain offline.
Earth's intelligence confirmed no new launch signatures. The Vral fleet stayed in their anchorages, The tension, however, did not ease. 5 hours before the ceremony, Sandra entered the seed vault one last time, her palm resting on a cryogenic tube.
No more plantations burn. No more children trafficked. For this, the silence was worth it.
The signing chamber was prepared. The galaxy held its breath. Kenneth entered the signing chamber alone, his footsteps the only sound on the polished floor. No guard, no aid. His hand trembled as he lifted the stylus. The weight of a defeated empire pressed into every finger joint. He signed. The treaty absorbed the ink, and every binding clause lit up across the galactic networks. Sandra took the stylus. Her signature was smaller than his, but it ended the war. The terms scrolled across every screen. Withdrawal from contested systems. Child Protection Treaty ratified. Coffee exports to resume. Kenneth extended his hand. Sandra took it. The image of two species, finally level, burned into galactic memory.
I still don't understand why you refused.
Because coffee is freedom. You can't buy freedom.
Within the hour, the first cargo ships unclamped on Vral worlds. Crowds did not cheer, they simply cried. Their morning ritual was back. The war for coffee had ended, but the understanding of what humanity had done was only beginning to settle. Within the day, the first human freighters touched down on Tauren Prime. Vral dockworkers wept as they opened the containers. By the next morning, the crisis clinics were empty. The only emergency was the line at every reopened cafe. Brex was sentenced in a closed session. The charge was crimes against cultural heritage. The galaxy did not see him again.
The price is fair. The treaty sticks. Now we grow.
Elena walked the new terraces, where volunteer saplings had been planted in the burned soil. The Earth was already healing. Earth never asked for power, but the galaxy now understood that whoever controlled the coffee controlled the morning on Vral worlds. Families returned to their rituals. The silence had taught them more than any threat. In the cooperative halls, no one cheered. They simply began to grind the first post-war beans, the sound echoing like a promise. The galactic feeds displayed a new symbol, an unbroken coffee cup, no longer crossed out, but held by two hands, human and Vral. But the true weapon had not been the embargo. It had been decades of sharing coffee until the galaxy could no longer function without it. That revelation was still to come. 3 days after the treaty, Sandra Castillo addressed the Galactic Press Corps. No uniform, no paint, just a stained cafe apron.
Humanity never threatened violence. We threatened absence.
The reporters waited, pens hovering. They sensed the confession that would rewrite history.
Earth spent 6 decades introducing coffee to every species we met. We knew its chemistry. We knew over time your bodies would depend on it.
No one moved. The air thickened with a decade of unspoken truth.
We didn't plan for war. We planned for a galaxy that could never bully us into submission. Coffee was our guarantee of a fair peace.
On the main screen, the crossed-out coffee cup dissolved into an unbroken one, a single drop falling upward. The symbol of absence became a symbol of deliberate bond. Kenneth Voss, watching from his quarters on Tauren, let out a breath he hadn't realized he was holding. The refusal, the embargo, the genetic threat, all of it. One calculated arc. The feeds erupted. Number Coffee War became Number Longpour. The galaxy realized it had not been defeated by a weapon. It had been shaped by a ritual, one shared by humans across the stars. Sandra stepped back from the podium. The war for coffee had never been a war. It was the completion of a quiet, decades-long offer. And Earth's counteroffer, finally, was clear. In the weeks that followed, the treaties hardened into routine. Earth's coffee flowed, but every sack carried ethical codicils that no species dared violate.
The child trafficking treaty was ratified by 200 worlds within a month, all because they wanted their morning cup.
The contested mining systems were evacuated. Earth established a permanent trade embassy on Tauren Prime, staffed by cooperative agronomists. Kenneth Voss, now assigned as permanent liaison, found himself explaining human cultural nuances to Vral counselors over cups of Ethiopian yergachefe.
We never asked to rule. We asked to be left alone. Now they understand that no amount of credits can buy what grows from honest soil. The galaxy runs on coffee. It always will, And now it runs on the understanding that humanity's price is not money, it's basic decency.
The coffee cooperative became a diplomatic institution. Its meeting hall hosted more interspecies agreements than any neutral zone in the sector. On the streets of raw worlds, the fear of absence was replaced by the comfort of a fair ritual. Every morning, the aroma of coffee was also the scent of peace. Earth had never wanted an empire. It wanted a galaxy that could be trusted with its children, its culture, and its mourning. And so, the war that was never fought ended with a quiet truth. The best weapon humanity ever wielded was a cup of coffee shared freely and taken seriously. She returned to Quito on a wet Tuesday morning, the cafe key cold in her palm. Inside, the air smelled of old coffee and dust. Nothing had been touched. On the counter, Kenneth's cup sat exactly where he had left it, a ring of dried crema staining the porcelain.
She lifted it gently. The thought came unbidden. He never finished it.
She carried the cup to the back counter as if it were evidence. From a drawer, she took a simple wooden frame and a small blank card.
She wrote a single word in cursive. Number. The ink was steady.
The cup and card were placed on the highest shelf, above the espresso machine, visible from every seat. She unlocked the front door and let the afternoon light in. The cafe was open, but the war had already been won. The door chime sounded again. Elena Rojas stepped inside, her boots still carrying the ash of the burned plantation.
That's his cup, isn't it? He never finished it.
Sandra pulled 2 shots of espresso. She set the cups on the very table where Kenneth Voss had once believed he could buy the world. They sat in silence, the only sound the gentle clink of porcelain and the distant hum of the espresso machine. The coffee was strong, the crema thick. It tasted like morning in the highlands, like soil, like survival. Elena set her cup down first. She looked at Sandra, and something unspoken passed between them, a decade of shared strategy, of sleepless nights and genetic vaults and prayers for rain.
The galaxy runs on coffee, and we run on this.
Sandra didn't answer. She just poured herself another cup, the steam rising undisturbed. Outside, the afternoon cooled. Inside, the cafe filled with the quiet certainty that the war was over and the coffee would keep flowing. The door chime sounded again. Avral, young and blue-skinned, stepped inside and hesitated, his eyes darting to the framed cup.
Bienvenido. What can I get you?
He asked for an espresso, his voice barely above a whisper. Sandra pulled the shot and set the cup before him, the crema settling like a promise. He looked at the cup, then at the framed one on the shelf. His shoulders dropped.
It's just coffee, like anywhere else in the galaxy now.
Outside, a quiet line had formed on the cobblestones. Human, Vral, other species all waiting for a cup. The cafe had become what it was always meant to be, not a battlefield, but a place where peace tasted like morning. And Sandra, with her stained apron and gold hoops, poured each cup herself. The war was over. The coffee was flowing. The light over Quito turned deep gold, and the cobblestones held the day's last warmth. Inside, the framed cup caught the last ray of sun, the handwritten card still sharp beneath it. Number. Avral child, too young to remember the rationing, stood on tiptoe at the counter. Sandra set a small hot chocolate before her, the mug warm and heavy. The child took a careful sip and smiled. A smudge of whipped cream on her cheek. Humanity's greatest weapon had never been warships or treaties. It was the warmth of a shared morning, offered without price, until absence became unthinkable. The cafe hummed with quiet conversation, the clink of porcelain, the hiss of the machine. Outside, the first stars appeared above the mountains, and the line at the door kept moving, and on the shelf, the little white card still spoke the word that had ended the war. Number. It was enough.